Before another thought enters your mind, before another voice convinces you that you are ordinary. I need you to be still for just a moment. There is something about you that has been present since the day you first opened your eyes to this world. It cannot be purchased. It cannot be taught. It cannot be copied. And yet, nearly everyone who crosses your path senses it, even when they cannot explain why. Have you ever noticed how complete strangers sometimes look at you twice? How certain people become unusually quiet when you enter a room? Why some people remember your face long after they have forgotten everyone else's? You assumed it was coincidence. You believed it meant nothing. But heaven has been watching those moments, one after another, waiting until today to reveal the truth. The secret has never been hidden from God. It has only been hidden from you. Your face carries something deeper than appearance. It carries a message. Not written in words, but written in presence. There is a quiet light resting upon you that many souls recognize before their minds can understand it. That is why some people feel strangely comfortable around you within minutes. Others feel exposed without knowing why. Some become curious. Some become inspired. And a few become uncomfortable. Not because you have done anything wrong, but because genuine light quietly reveals what darkness tries to hide. Now listen carefully. This is where many people misunderstand what is happening. You have spent years wondering if there was something unusual about the way people reacted to you. Perhaps someone stared longer than expected. Perhaps conversations suddenly became deeper. Perhaps complete strangers trusted you with stories they had never shared before. You questioned yourself. You searched for logical explanations. But what if those moments were never random? What if heaven had already placed a silent signature upon your life? Imagine standing beside a calm lake just before sunrise. The water appears still. Nothing dramatic seems to be happening. Yet the very first rays of light slowly transform the entire surface into gold. The lake never created the light. It simply reflected what heaven had already given. In much the same way, your face has become a reflection of something eternal. People are not merely looking at your features. Without realizing it, many are responding to the peace, compassion, resilience, and quiet authority that have been shaped inside your spirit through every challenge you survived. Every disappointment. Every unanswered prayer. Every lonely season. Every tear you believed no one noticed. None of it was wasted. Each season refined something invisible. And eventually, the invisible began to shine through the visible. That is why some people cannot stop looking at you. Not because perfection captures attention, but because authenticity awakens recognition. Deep within every human heart is a longing for truth. When someone encounters even a glimpse of genuine hope, something inside them pauses. Their soul notices before their thoughts do. Have you ever wondered why children often smile at you without hesitation? Why certain elderly people seem drawn to speak with you? Why animals sometimes become unexpectedly calm in your presence? These moments are easy to dismiss. Yet heaven rarely wastes simple moments. Sometimes the smallest encounters reveal the greatest mysteries. But there is another layer. A much deeper one. One that few people ever discover. Your face does not simply reflect who you have become. It quietly reveals who you are still becoming. Every season God allows into your life leaves gentle fingerprints upon your expression. Not wrinkles of defeat, but marks of wisdom. Not signs of weakness, but evidence of endurance. And those who carry sensitive hearts often recognize this without knowing why. This explains something you have silently questioned for years. Why do some people immediately support you, while others become distant before they truly know you? Why are some inspired simply by your presence, while others seem strangely unsettled? The answer is not found in popularity. It is found in purpose. Light has always produced different reactions. Some move closer. Others step away. Neither response changes the light itself. Now, do not mistake this message. This is not an invitation to think of yourself as greater than anyone else. True spiritual beauty is never rooted in pride. It grows through humility. The brightest souls are often the gentlest. The strongest hearts are often the quietest. That is exactly why your greatest strength has remained hidden from your own eyes. Heaven often protects precious gifts by allowing their owners to overlook them. If you had fully understood this years ago, perhaps pride would have stolen what humility preserved. But today is different. Today, a veil begins to lift. Because the next truth heaven wants to reveal is even more personal. It explains why certain people entered your life unexpectedly. Why others disappeared without warning. And why someone, somewhere, has been unable to forget your face no matter how hard they have tried. But that revelation cannot be understood until one final piece of this mystery is uncovered. There is something extraordinary that happens long before two lives cross paths. It begins in silence. Not the silence of loneliness, but the silence where heaven prepares what human eyes cannot yet see. Many people believe recognition begins with words. A conversation. A handshake. A smile. But often, recognition begins long before a single sentence is spoken. It begins with presence. That is why your face has become more than something people see. It has quietly become something they remember. Think about the moments that seemed impossible to explain. Someone looked at you, then looked away, only to glance back again. Another person insisted they had seen you somewhere before, even though you had never met. Someone else trusted you almost immediately, as though an invisible wall had disappeared the moment your eyes met. You smiled politely. You moved on. But heaven did not. Every one of those moments became another page in a story still being written. You have spent so much time asking why certain people entered your life. Yet perhaps the greater question is this. Why were they drawn to you in the first place? Not everyone is searching for the same thing. Some search for success. Others search for comfort. Many search for answers they cannot put into words. And every now and then, a weary soul unknowingly searches for a face carrying hope. Without realizing it, they pause when they see you. Something within them whispers. There is peace here. They cannot explain it. Logic struggles to understand it. But the heart often recognizes what the mind has not yet learned to trust. This does not mean every person who looks at you carries pure intentions. No. Light attracts more than admiration. It also exposes hidden motives. Have you noticed how some people become unusually interested in your life? They ask questions that seem harmless. Yet something inside you senses caution. Then there are others who quietly celebrate your victories without expecting anything in return. The difference is not always visible. But heaven sees it clearly. That is why discernment has slowly been growing inside you. Years ago, you ignored small warnings. You dismissed quiet instincts. You gave your trust too quickly. Yet every lesson strengthened your spirit. Every disappointment sharpened your wisdom. Now your heart notices what your eyes once overlooked. This change did not happen by accident. It was preparation. Because where you are being led, discernment will matter as much as compassion. Listen carefully. There are blessings that arrive loudly. And there are blessings that arrive disguised as ordinary moments. One unexpected conversation. One delayed appointment. One unfamiliar face in a crowded place. One simple decision to say yes instead of no. Heaven often hides life-changing moments inside ordinary days. That is why you must never underestimate what appears insignificant. The smallest door can lead into the greatest season of your life. Perhaps you have wondered why progress sometimes feels slower than you hoped. Why opportunities appeared, only to disappear. Why certain dreams remain just beyond reach. It was not abandonment. It was alignment. A master artist never rushes the final brushstroke. Every color has its appointed moment. Every detail serves a greater masterpiece. So does every season of your life. Even the chapters that felt empty were quietly shaping the expression people now notice on your face. Patience leaves traces. Faith leaves traces. Forgiveness leaves traces. Hope leaves traces. And over time, your countenance begins to reflect the very qualities heaven has been forming within you. This is why some people feel strangely encouraged after speaking with you. You may never know the burdens they carried before they met you. You may never hear the silent prayer they whispered the night before. Yet your presence became part of God's answer. Not because you had perfect words, but because your life has been teaching your face to speak without speaking. Still, there remains one mystery that has not yet been revealed. It concerns someone who has crossed your path before. Someone whose heart recognized something they could never fully explain. Distance has not erased that impression. Time has not silenced it. And even now, events are quietly unfolding beyond your sight. The next revelation will explain why certain connections refuse to disappear. Why some meetings feel strangely familiar. And why heaven sometimes allows two paths to separate. Only so they can meet again under completely different skies. The answer is closer than you imagine. But before it can be revealed, another hidden truth must first come into the light. Not every miracle announces itself with thunder. Sometimes, heaven whispers so softly that only a patient heart can hear it. And that is exactly where this next revelation begins. There are people who have forgotten names. Forgotten conversations. Even forgotten entire seasons of their lives. Yet somehow, they have never forgotten your face. This is not because your features are flawless. It is because certain encounters leave an imprint far deeper than memory. When heaven allows two lives to cross at the right moment, something unseen is planted. A seed. Invisible at first. Silent. Waiting. Time may pass. Months may become years. Roads may separate. But what heaven plants is not measured by distance. It grows in ways no human eye can fully trace. Have you ever felt as though someone was thinking about you, even when your phone remained silent? Have you ever remembered someone without knowing why their face suddenly appeared in your mind? Many dismiss moments like these as coincidence. Yet not every impression is meaningless. Sometimes your spirit notices movements long before your circumstances reveal them. That is why today's message matters. Heaven has been preparing your perception. Not so you will chase every sign, but so you will recognize genuine moments when they finally arrive. There is a difference. The world teaches people to run after answers. Heaven teaches people to become still enough for truth to find them. Think about a lighthouse standing beside a restless sea. It never runs after ships. It simply shines. Those searching for safe passage recognize its light. Your calling has never been to force people to notice you. Your calling has been to keep your inner light steady. The right people will recognize it. The right opportunities will respond to it. The right doors will open at the appointed time. Everything else will quietly pass by. And that is not loss. It is protection. Perhaps there were moments when rejection wounded your confidence. Doors closed. Friendships faded. Plans collapsed. You wondered if something was wrong with you. But imagine carrying a priceless treasure through unfamiliar streets. Would a loving father allow every stranger unlimited access? Of course not. Protection often feels uncomfortable while we are living through it. Only later do we recognize the wisdom behind every closed door. The same has been true in your life. Some departures made room for peace. Some delays prevented unnecessary pain. Some unanswered prayers became hidden blessings. Even now, there are answers forming beyond your vision. Answers that will make today's confusion become tomorrow's testimony. But there is another secret hidden within your face. One that few people ever understand. Every genuine act of forgiveness has softened your expression. Every choice to remain kind after disappointment has strengthened it. Every time you chose hope instead of bitterness, something invisible became visible. Your soul began shaping your countenance. This is why your presence speaks before your voice does. People often feel what they cannot explain. Some feel calm. Some feel courage. Some simply feel that they have known you longer than they truly have. Do not underestimate those moments. Heaven often works through quiet influence rather than loud displays. One gentle conversation may change a life. One sincere smile may interrupt someone's despair. One act of patience may become the reason another person refuses to give up. You may never witness the full harvest of the seeds you have planted. But heaven never loses track of them. Not one. Now, a question remains. If your face carries such quiet influence, why have you sometimes struggled to recognize your own worth? Why have mirrors reflected uncertainty, while strangers reflected admiration? The answer reaches back farther than you realize. Long before you questioned yourself, someone else's words tried to define your value. Criticism, comparison, rejection, misunderstanding. Those voices became louder than the truth. But today, those old echoes are beginning to lose their power. Because heaven is restoring the vision you once lost. Not merely the way others see you, but the way you see yourself. And once that restoration is complete, everything begins to change. Relationships, decisions, confidence, purpose. Even the people who suddenly appear in your path. Because when you finally recognize the light heaven placed within you, you stop searching for constant approval. And you begin walking with quiet confidence that cannot be manufactured. Yet one final mystery still remains. There is a reason this message found you today instead of yesterday. A reason the timing feels so precise. And a reason heaven waited until this very moment to uncover the deepest secret of all. That revelation will change the way you see every glance, every encounter, and every unexpected connection from this day forward. There is a moment in every journey. A moment so quiet that most people almost miss it. Nothing dramatic happens. The sky does not suddenly change. No voice echoes from the clouds. Yet everything begins shifting beneath the surface. My child, that moment may already be unfolding in your life. Perhaps that explains why this message found you today. Not last month. Not next year. But now. Because heaven never reveals a truth before the heart is ready to carry it. For years, you believed people were simply noticing your appearance. But heaven wants you to understand something much deeper. People are often responding to the story your soul has written across your face. Every challenge you endured without giving up. Every night you cried when no one else knew. Every prayer whispered through trembling faith. Every time you chose compassion instead of resentment. None of it disappeared into the past. It became part of who you are. Just as rivers slowly shape mountains over time. Life has been shaping something beautiful within you. You may not see it each morning when you look in the mirror. Familiarity often hides the greatest miracles. The people closest to a sunrise are rarely the ones who stop to admire it. Yet travelers crossing great distances never forget the first glimpse of dawn. That is why strangers sometimes notice what you overlook. They are seeing the light that has become so familiar to you that you no longer recognize it. But heaven does. Every single day. There is another truth that deserves your attention. Not everyone who looks at you is searching for you. Some are searching for hope. Others are searching for peace. Many are searching for a reminder that goodness still exists in this world. Without realizing it, they pause when your presence awakens something they believed had disappeared. Have you ever smiled at someone, only to watch their entire expression soften? Have you ever offered a few kind words, and seen tears gather in another person's eyes? Perhaps you thought your kindness was small. Heaven did not. Small acts become eternal when they are offered with genuine love. Never underestimate what a peaceful heart can accomplish. Storms make headlines, but gentle rain gives life. The loudest voices often fade first. Quiet faith endures. That is why your influence has never depended on popularity. It has depended on consistency. One faithful step. Then another. Then another. Even on days when you felt unseen. Heaven was recording every act of courage. Every unseen sacrifice. Every decision to keep moving forward when giving up seemed easier. Nothing was wasted. Nothing escaped God's attention. Now imagine a master sculptor standing before a block of stone. To everyone else, it looks ordinary, heavy, rough, unfinished. But the sculptor already sees the masterpiece hidden inside. Each careful strike removes only what does not belong. The stone may not understand the process, yet every moment brings it closer to its true form. In much the same way, life has not been trying to break you. It has been uncovering you. Removing fear. Removing false labels. Removing expectations that never belonged to your purpose. Little by little, the person heaven always intended you to become has been emerging. That is why your face carries quiet strength. Not because life has been easy, but because grace has carried you through what should have defeated you. There are people who sense this immediately. They cannot explain why they trust you. Why your words stay with them. Why your presence lingers in their thoughts. What they are sensing is not perfection. It is authenticity refined through perseverance. And authenticity has a light that cannot be imitated. Now, here is something very few people ever realize. The greatest transformation is not the one others notice. It is the one happening inside you this very moment. Even as these words reach your heart, old doubts are beginning to loosen their grip. Old fears are losing their authority. Old wounds are no longer writing your future. A new chapter has already begun. Quietly. Patiently. Powerfully. Yet before heaven reveals where this new chapter is leading, there is one final veil that must be lifted. It concerns the purpose behind every unexpected glance, every unforgettable encounter, and the extraordinary assignment connected to the light resting upon your life. That final revelation is closer than you think. And once you hear it, you will never look at yourself the same way again. There is one final question that heaven has patiently waited for you to ask. What if the secret was never about your face at all? What if your face has simply been the window, while your spirit has always been the light? My child, many spend their entire lives changing what can be seen. Yet they never nurture what truly changes the world. But heaven has been working in the opposite direction. Long before anyone noticed your smile, God was shaping your heart. Long before someone admired your confidence, He was strengthening your faith through quiet battles no one else could see. Long before people paused to look at you, heaven was teaching your soul how to carry peace. That is the mystery. People are often drawn to the fruit of a life they cannot fully explain. They see patience. They sense kindness. They notice calmness in moments when others become anxious. They recognize quiet strength in situations where many would lose hope. These qualities cannot be purchased. They cannot be imitated for long. They are formed only through seasons of trust. Think of a tree standing firmly beside a flowing river. No one praises its roots, because they are hidden beneath the ground. Yet every branch, every leaf, every piece of fruit depends entirely upon what cannot be seen. So it is with your life. The visible beauty people notice has always depended on the invisible work God has been doing within you. Never forget that. Because the world will always tempt you to polish appearances, while heaven continues cultivating character. And character always outlasts appearance. Now look back for just a moment. Remember the disappointments that once convinced you nothing good was coming. Remember the delays that tested your patience. Remember the relationships that ended before you understood why. At the time, those moments felt like endings. Today, they begin to resemble preparation. Every closed door redirected your steps. Every unexpected goodbye protected your purpose. Every unanswered question strengthened your trust. You survived seasons you once believed would break you. Yet here you are. Still breathing. Still hoping. Still capable of loving. That alone is evidence of grace. There is another beautiful truth. The people who are meant to walk beside you in this season will not be drawn only by your words. They will recognize your spirit. They will value honesty over performance, peace over perfection, humility over pride. These are the connections heaven establishes on foundations that endure. You no longer need to chase approval. You no longer need to exhaust yourself trying to become someone you were never created to be. The light within you shines brightest when you simply walk in truth. And truth never competes. It quietly stands. Perhaps that is the greatest secret of all. The reason people stop and stare has never been because heaven wanted your attention fixed on yourself. It was because every glance became an opportunity to remind someone that light still exists in this world. Not your light alone, but the light God lovingly reflects through willing hearts. That is a responsibility. And it is also a gift. So walk with kindness. Speak with wisdom. Choose forgiveness when resentment seems easier. Offer hope where discouragement has settled. The smallest act of love may become the answer to a prayer you never hear. One day, perhaps years from now, you may discover that a single moment of compassion changed someone's entire direction in life. You may never know how many hearts were encouraged simply because you refused to let darkness define you. Heaven keeps those records faithfully. Nothing done in genuine love is ever forgotten. And now, as this message draws to a close, do not leave carrying pride. Leave carrying purpose. The next time someone smiles as they pass you. The next time a stranger seems unexpectedly kind. The next time someone pauses and looks at you for just a little longer than usual. Do not ask, "What is wrong with me?" Instead, quietly remember this truth. Heaven has been doing a beautiful work within me. And love, peace, and hope often become visible long before they can ever be explained. Carry that truth into every room you enter. Carry it into every conversation. Carry it into every challenge still ahead. Because the greatest secret hidden in your face has never been your appearance. It has always been the quiet reflection of a heart that continues to choose faith, hope, humility, and love. And when a heart reflects those gifts, the world cannot help but stop. Look. And remember that even in ordinary lives, extraordinary light can still be found. If this message touched your heart, let it stay with you today. Walk in peace, walk in kindness, and never forget that the most beautiful light is the one that begins within. Just when you think the message has ended, heaven often begins speaking in the quiet that follows. Because the deepest truths are not meant to be rushed. They are meant to be carried. So before you return to the ordinary rhythm of your day, pause for one more moment. Take a slow breath. And remember everything your heart has just heard. This message was never intended to convince you that you are extraordinary because of outward appearance. It was meant to remind you that every act of faith leaves a gentle imprint upon the soul. Over time, that inner transformation begins to shine through your words, your choices, your patience, even the expression on your face. The world spends countless hours asking, how can I be noticed? Heaven asks a different question. How can you become a reflection of love wherever you go? The answer has never depended on perfection. It has always depended on surrender. Every morning offers another opportunity. To choose gratitude instead of complaint. To choose understanding instead of judgment. To choose hope instead of discouragement. These choices may seem small. Yet they quietly shape the person you are becoming. One day, someone will remember your kindness when they have forgotten your conversation. Someone will remember the peace they felt around you when they can no longer recall the details of the moment. Someone will find courage because you chose compassion when it would have been easier to walk away. That is how light continues moving from one life into another. Not through grand performances, but through faithful hearts. So never believe that your ordinary days are insignificant. A single encouraging word. A patient response. A sincere smile. A moment of forgiveness. Heaven can use each one to accomplish far more than you will ever fully understand. There will still be difficult seasons. There will still be unanswered questions. There will still be moments when you wonder whether your efforts matter. When those days arrive, remember this. The sun never stops shining simply because clouds temporarily hide it. In the same way, the work God is doing within you does not stop simply because you cannot immediately see the results. Growth continues beneath the surface. Purpose continues unfolding. Grace continues working. Trust the process. Walk humbly. Love generously. And allow your life, not merely your appearance, to become a quiet testimony of faith. For the greatest secret hidden in your face has always been the story your heart is telling without words. May that story continue to grow brighter with every step you take. And may everyone who meets you leave with a little more hope than they had before they met you. Carry that light into today. Into tomorrow. And into every new beginning that heaven places before you. For the most powerful message you will ever share is the life you choose to live.